All right. Good morning, everybody. It is November 4th. We are a day removed from the end of the trade deadline. And it's the Ravens bye week this week. So welcome to the Ravens bye week podcast. We are the Flock Squawk podcast. Chad Cummings, Brad Cummings, and myself. We're here on YouTube. This is where you watch our beautiful podcast that we put on every week. And then we're also on Twitter. If you go visit us on Flock_Squawk, that's on Twitter, Flock_Squawk. And then we have a TikTok as well. And that's the @Flock Squawk podcast. Make sure you guys stop by, subscribe to our stuff, and watch all the great content we've got coming out. But enough of all the shameless self-promotion. Let's get into the bye week. So we had a couple interesting games that happened that had great outcomes in the AFC North. Don't you love like when you don't even play and you take control of your division anyway? It reminds me of a Wire quote that I remember. It's from Marla Daniels. She goes, "You can't lose if you don't play." She's talking about something completely unrelated to football. Check out the show. It's amazing. But it kind of impacted us this week. The Bengals lose a tough one on the road to the now 2-5 New York Jets. I've never been so stoked for a New York fan base. Gosh, you know, all the teams we expect to show up and beat AFC North opponents, they always have good records and they always lose. And then there's these opponents that come in with losing records and we're like, there's no way that they're going to keep up with the Bengals. And they end up beating the Bengals. Yeah. Pleasant Halloween surprise. So let's talk about that game first, and then we'll get into Pittsburgh Browns. Chad, we'll start with you. So I watched the end of this game. I did not watch the beginning of this game because I was focused on the Pittsburgh-Cleveland, I guess you could call it a showdown. It was a pretty low-scoring game, all things considered. But this is a pretty crushing loss for the Bengals, right? Like they have all this momentum after beating us at home, and then they go and they play in New York and they lose a stinker to, I'm calling him Killer Mike White. There's a lot of nicknames for this guy, but Killer Mike White seems to be the most appropriate. What do you think overall, like your impressions of the game? Did the Bengals blow this one, or are the Jets possibly better than we think they are without Zach Wilson? Surprisingly.
Yeah. I think it's an obvious, the Bengals just shit the bed kind of thing. Like the Jets are they're a struggling team. They just lost their franchise quarterback that they drafted in the first round this year. They're starting the game with someone we haven't heard of before. And the Bengals were just caught off guard. I mean, there's something to be said about, not having tape on somebody and not knowing what to expect when you have a new quarterback back there. So that's a little wrinkle in the, their plans, I imagine. But I was completely shocked. Like you said, I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers game because I thought Cincinnati was just going to, I thought the Jets had no chance. But the Cleveland Cincinnati game kind of became a stunker, and then I was watching the scoreboards, and then I was like, well, for a while, the Cincinnati had a deep, comfortable lead, but once it came into the fourth quarter, and I have Michael Carter, the rookie running back, on fantasy, so I was seeing all these points being put up, and I was like, what's going on over there?
Hey, how many points did you get from Michael Carter? Because he had 172 all-purpose yards.
And in full point PPR, I had like 32 or something like that. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Dang. So, yeah, he was putting up points.
On your bench.
Nah, in my other league, I had him starting, boy.
Oh.
But, yeah, in one league, I didn't start him. But, yeah, he had like 14 targets and like 9 catches as a running back, which I'm just like, that's PPR points all day, baby. But, I believe, like I know you were, before we played Cincinnati, you were talking about how you were worried about them, and I was kind of like, nah, Cincinnati, I'm not too worried about them, and then they crushed us, and then I was like, damn, I definitely was underestimating them, and then they go ahead and, lose one to the Jets right after crushing the Ravens. Like, to me, so at this point, for me, I'm just like, was I right about Cincinnati, or was it just the fact that they didn't have any tape on this guy and it's just a fluke? I think it's a little bit of both. I think maybe Cincinnati is who I thought they were in a sense, but
They are who we thought they were.
We are who we thought they were.
Hey,
But,
I disagree. I think this is a game where the defense didn't show up. I think you're right. I think you're right about them not having tape on this 5th round pick out of Dallas from Western Kentucky. Like, I think that's a fair argument. He also came out with a lot of energy. Mike White, I mean, apparently, like in the Jets like stadium when they were playing, they were going ape shit for this guy. Because he was coming out, he was getting out of the huddle. Even his handoffs were crisper and clean. It didn't look like he didn't look like defeated. It looked like he wanted to win the game. The Bengals still put up 31 points. And honestly, watching the highlights of this game, it's not the offense. If you put up 31 points in a football game, you're scoring at least a touchdown a quarter. You should expect to win a game. I think just the defense played so poorly that, Joe Burrow had this weird interception towards the end of the game where he throws it. I think it's, I don't remember who the defender was. I thought it was Shaq Lawson, but I could be wrong. He knocks the ball up in the air and gets the interception. And it's like, okay, this is an instance where your offense has been playing great, but your defense is so bad this game that one mistake on offense and you've lost the game, even to the Jets. That can happen. So I don't think it's like a long-term thing for the Bengals. I think they got grilled on national media because everyone's saying the same thing that you're saying. Like, you beat the Ravens and then next week you turn around and you lose to a team that was 1-5. Like, I don't know. Brad, what did you think? Like, is there anything that you took away from that game where do you fall on this? Do you agree more with Chad or do you agree more on my side?
I don't think that the Bengals are a worse team after that loss. I mean, anybody can lose any given day. But yeah, I agree with Chad when it comes down to the quarterback. They didn't have film on them. They beat the Bengals the same way that Detroit stayed in the game and nearly beat us if it wasn't for that 3 seconds in over the delay and us getting a field goal, which Detroit would have beat us. But the checkdowns, he had 72 yards to Ty Johnson. He had 90-something yards to Michael Carter. So he was just hitting the nice checkdowns and letting the running backs take over the game and giving him some confidence. And he did throw some good balls. I mean, like you said, the defense didn't step up. He had 2 interceptions. I think it was a few sacks. They did play pretty well, but it's hard to play somebody that you've never seen before. And he came out and had the confidence after getting his checkdowns, getting this couple quick passes to Crowder in the slot, and he actually looked good. I mean, if you look at towards the end of the game when they started to come back, he threw that ball to Cole. That was a ridiculous catch. That wasn't a catch because I think he stepped out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he put that ball in only a spot that he could catch it. I mean, and then right afterwards turns around and throws it to I forget the guy's name, like Borelli or something. Number 10, the other receiver.
Barrios?
Right there. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But he threw it right there on the sideline of the end zone. Exact same spot, only a spot that he could catch it. Perfectly thrown ball. The dude looked good. But when it comes down to it, I think that the Bengals just had also a little bit of an off game. They held Chase to 32 yards and 1 touchdown, where he went off for 200 yards against us. So, I mean, when you're holding their number 1 player, arguably one of the best receivers in the league right now when it comes to yards and touchdowns, and check like that, I mean, you're gonna obviously do pretty good. So,
yeah, it's also a testament to their tackling. New York obviously tackled Jamar Chase a lot better than they did when they came to Baltimore.
Tackled all around better. I mean, that's why they look so good against us, is because we couldn't fucking tackle. But it is what it is. I'm not really stressing it too much. But Bengals are still a good team. Anybody can lose any given day. So look at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay lost this weekend to New Orleans, and New Orleans starting quarterback went down. So
good defense.
So I want to check out Cincinnati's schedule real quick coming up.
Yeah, I was about to say they're about to get tested. Well, but we're gonna find out if they're good or not.
So they play next week or this upcoming week. They play the Browns.
Yeah,
11 o'clock game. Then they're at the Raiders. I don't know. Home against the Steelers, home against the Chargers, and home against the 49ers, at Broncos before we play them again the day after Christmas. Pretty favorable schedule. Given what's gone on this week, I'm going to talk about the Cleveland Browns a little bit more when we get to the Pittsburgh game, but I think they're on the decline. The Raiders have a brand new head coach, and now we learn that their top wide receiver that they drafted very high in the draft, he's been released from the team because of a DUI incident. T's and P's to all the people out there who are dealing with that particular situation right now. Then they're home against the Steelers, who I think are better than people are giving them credit for. Home against the Chargers, they're on a slide. The 49ers are on a slide. The Broncos aren't that great. There's a path here where Cincinnati, I mean, yeah, this is a clunker of a game, but they could still have a competitive record by the end of the season. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the AFC North is going to be, as it usually is, it's going to be a dogfight, but I think it's going to be between 3 teams instead of 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, I look at that schedule and I see, damn, that's a tough schedule.
Yeah.
That's a lot of, in my eyes, that's a lot of teams that are in the same category as the Cincinnati Bengals. A little above average. They're not top tier, but they're competitive teams. They have a chance to make the playoffs. And I think we're really going to see, what Cincinnati is made of after, beating one of the better teams in us, then losing to one of the worst teams in the Jets. To me, the jury is still out. And these next few weeks are going to, solidify whether they're a legit contender or if they're, kind of just middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Because, this next game is a good start. Cleveland, I think Cleveland, Cincy, and Steelers are, I think they're a little above average teams, but they're like, wild card hopeful teams in my eyes. Yeah. So we're going to get to see them play Cleveland. And then, they got a couple games with Pittsburgh in between there. They already lost to Pittsburgh, but they're going to play them one more time. I agree. Yeah, the Chargers are kind of like on a slide. I agree with that. After losing to us and they had a bye week, they get, it was a close game, but their defense held their high-power offense down, just like we did, the New England Patriots did. So
they beat Pittsburgh, didn't they?
Who did?
Bengals?
Yeah, the Bengals. Yeah. Yeah, they beat.
Okay,
they beat. I'm saying they get to play them one more time.
Okay.
San Francisco. Yeah, the San Francisco is a weird team to me. I feel like
all they got is Deebo Samuels.
Yeah, they should be good, but they're kind of like not.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, injuries. Yeah. I think they still have guys injured.
True. Yeah.
Well, Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league, is injured. I think he's coming back. If it's not this week, it's next week. But they don't have a quarterback. The quarterbacks suck.
Yeah. And then the Broncos stink.
Broncos.
I'm sorry. I don't think they're very good. They just got rid of Von Miller.
Yeah.
They traded him. They didn't get rid of him, but he's no longer in the facility. Like, I don't know what that team looks like. I don't know. I think there's a path for the Bengals. I think it just because a lot of these teams, the situations, I'm just not like, I don't know how the Raiders are going to be after losing their head coach and their starting wide receiver. Like, I'm just not sure. But we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward. Enough about the Bengals. God, I'm so tired of hearing about them and how awesome they are or how terrible they are. Let's go on to the 2 teams that I have very strong opinions about. Pittsburgh beats Cleveland. They beat them at home 15-10. Typical AFC North matchup, right? Like really low scoring, really tough game. I think I said this last week. The Steelers have found something. Ben Roethlisberger, his arm is not what it used to be. I think we can all pretty much accept that. He's got 8 touchdowns and 4 interceptions this year. Yep. He's not exactly blowing the doors off anybody. But what they're doing is they're with the pass, they're setting up the run game with Najee Harris, and they're using him in the pass game as well, but they're using him to set up the run. And then it's these just quick little bullet passes that these receivers are good enough to catch and get yards after the catch. I saw a pass late in this game where it was probably like a 5-yard pass for Ben Roethlisberger to Deontay Johnson, and he ends up taking it 52 yards down inside the 15, I believe. And I'm like, yeah, that's their offense. That's what they're going to do. They're going to establish the run, short passes from Ben that could generate into something else. And every once in a while, he might take a deep shot, depending on how his arm feels. On defense, they're locking dudes down on this defense is really, really good. They had that weird game against the Bills week 1 where they had all 3 months to prepare for, and they've lost to some teams, but they've kept these games close. Like, they've held a lot of teams to under 20 points. I'm more impressed by the Steelers. I wanted them to lose this game because I thought that they were building momentum.
Yeah.
And now I think the momentum's here. They've won 3 games in a row. Granted, it hasn't been against maybe the best competition that the NFL has to offer, but at the same time, there's a lot of things. I think Mike Tomlin has figured it out with this team. What do you guys think? Did you see anything? Am I like off base here? Are the Steelers actually bad? I mean, they've lost to good teams, the Raiders, Bengals, and the Packers, and they've beaten bad teams, the Broncos, the Seahawks with Geno Smith, and the Browns, who I think are so banged up, they're not even really the Browns. And now OBJ might be out of the building.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the Steelers? And do you think that this is just a short-term thing, or do you think that there's some merit here?
Go ahead, Brad.
I don't think the Steelers are much of anything. I'm more worried, like I've told you before, I'm more worried about the Cleveland Browns. But Steelers have a great defense, but when it comes down to the offense, they don't really have too much of anything with Ben under center. Obviously, to me, it's more like their offense is more like Tennessee's offense. You got the ground and pound running back, and then he's just throwing those quick dinkers that are to like Johnson and Washington, and Claypool's their only big guy now. They have Juju Smith is injured for the year, and they're using a lot more of their tight end, all because he can't get the ball down the field. I don't even think I haven't seen the statistics on it, but when I watch the games, I don't see him. If he's throwing a pass for 40 yards, it's not in the air. It's like you just said, Johnson coming on a slant and then taking the yards at the catch and making it a 40-yard catch. Other than their defense and their running back, I'm not really pressed on it. If you can get pressure on Ben Roethlisberger, I know he's trying to get the ball out faster, but I feel like the Steelers, they already have the hardest schedule. I'm pretty sure coming into the league, they had the hardest schedule. We had a second hardest schedule for the year. And down the road, they still have 4 divisional games. They got to play us twice. They got to play the Browns one more time, Bengals one more time. So I don't see them really being too much of a factor. But with the Browns, they're all around, to me, they're all around just good, especially once they get their running backs healthy. They don't even need Hunt. They got that guy, De'Aaron Johnson, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just as, I mean, he's not as good as Hunt would be, but I mean, when he came in, he ran for 147 yards the other night. And I think that the big thing with them this last week is the fact that they put in a hurt Baker, who even when he's healthy isn't that good. If he's your franchise quarterback, why are you putting him in a situation where when there's pressure, he can't get away? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if they would have just played Case Keenum, they would have been a lot better team and made it more of a game. And the fact that they almost lost to a Baker that can't even lift his left arm is pretty sad in my eyes. I don't think that the Steelers are that good of a team.
I don't know. Their defense is for real, man. I think that with TJ Watt, they just got rid of Melvin Ingram in the trade at the trade deadline because they've got that guy Highsmith that they really like. He's played really well. I think they're deep on defense. As long as I think that's the strategy for the Steelers, right, Chad? It's like you're not going to score a whole lot of points, which means you have to not be scored on by a lot of points. If the defense just stays healthy, Pittsburgh is going to stay in a lot of these games because they don't have any. There's very few defenses in this league that can hold up to that kind of defensive pressure, I think. With TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and those guys, like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The defense it's only saving grace right now. And I want to echo what Brad said with the offense not being dynamic with the deep plays, with the big plays in the air, that really limits issues for an opposing defense. And they know exactly what they need to focus on. They need to focus on the run game and the short pass. Ben's not going to be able to obviously he will be able to throw it over the defense every once in a while, but he's not going to be able to be the old Ben where he's throwing, 50-yard bombs down the field. So I think that's where my thought process is with not being as scared of as Steelers in the AFC North opposed to Cleveland, is that they're I wouldn't say one-dimensional, because I think the short passing game and the run game are all two different things, but they don't have that third dimension of the deep plays, deep passes down the field, which really limits them. And yeah, I mean, they might have the best defense in the AFC North at this point. But look, I mean, they're 4-3 is not bad at this moment, but they who have they lost to? They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to
the Raiders.
They lost to the Raiders. They lost to who's the third one?
Bengals. Bills, sorry.
They beat the Bills.
They beat the Bills.
It was the Packers.
first...
They lost to the Packers 27-17.
Okay,
they beat the Bills in the first game.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, they've beat they beat some impressive team. They've lost to basically two of the same teams we've lost to. So I just can't get. I'm just not that afraid of them for whatever. I mean, that. I think it's their defense is good, yes, but that offense is just one or two dimensional, and it's not. I don't think it's gonna. And so what you were saying earlier is like they're banking on their defense being healthy, and we've already seen TJ Watt, their best pass rusher and best player on defense, in my opinion, missed a couple games with an injury. So I mean, it's a long season. We're not even halfway through, and I think at this point, and my with Cleveland losing this week, which I wanted to happen, I feel like we're at a more even playing field with all three of our AFC North contenders. Well, that's a lie. I'd still think Cincinnati is above those two, but when it comes to Cleveland and Pittsburgh, I would say I'm equally as afraid of them now, the same, because Cleveland lost. Baker's not as healthy as he started the season with, so that's a good. I mean, obviously that sucks for him, but It's a good sign for Ravens fans. And the turmoil with Odell Beckham going right now could be a little bit of distraction when they have a huge division matchup coming up this week, another huge division matchup against Cincinnati. So if Cleveland loses 2 games in a row to divisional opponents, I think that's a really good sign for Baltimore. Steelers do have an easier schedule coming up. They play Chicago on Monday night, and then they play Detroit. I could see them winning both with the defense they have, and just how bad both of those teams are that they're playing. So I believe they will be, 6-3 at the end of these 2 games, and I see Cleveland losing this week. So I feel like at this point, in the next coming weeks, Steelers will be more of an issue when it comes to records, because I feel like Cleveland's on a skid. Pittsburgh is hitting a really good schedule at this point. So we'll see how it all falls out. Falls into play. But yeah, if Baker was a little bit healthy and they didn't have all this craziness going on with Odell Beckham, I would be a little bit more. And if they would have won last week, I would have been a little bit more worried at this point. But since they lost and they have all this crazy shit going on, I'm not as scared of them either. I'm as equally as scared of them as the Steelers. But now my focus is on Cincinnati. So now the new question is, do we want Cincinnati to beat Cleveland or lose to Cleveland this week?
You'd want them to lose.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
you'd want them to lose, especially because I think if you have that outcome, the Cleveland Browns' upcoming schedule at Patriots, home against the Lions, they play us back to back. And then the Raiders game for December 19th, they have it as TBD. I don't know what time that game is going to be, but they play the Raiders. Then they're at the Packers, at Steelers, home against the Bengals to finish the season.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. And I'm just, with the OBJ stuff that's going on right now, it seems pretty obvious that they're going to get rid of him, right? Like,
seems like
seems like it.
They're going to have no choice but to cut him, I imagine.
Yeah, which is crazy because 2 weeks ago, you would have never thought that at all. Brad, the Cleveland Browns, I think, you think that they're really good. And I agree. If they were healthy, the Cleveland Browns are obviously my concern in this division, but they just aren't. And if they don't have OBJ, where does that leave this team?
The same team that's already playing. I mean, OBJ, he's not doing shit anyways.
True.
People Jones was just, I think he got hurt 2 games ago, hurt his groin. He might be coming back. So if he comes back this week, they're going to be the exact same team as if Odell Beckham was there. Or holy sugar.
Bless you.
Bless you.
But it honestly, to me, they'll be better because he's going to be out of the locker room. And it makes more sense for him. It's for him just to get dropped. He's guaranteed the money for the rest of the year. And then after that, he's not guaranteed any money. So just go ahead and pay the dude, keep him out of your locker room so that he's not basically like spoiled milk, ruining everything else. And then just keep playing on the season. I mean, I'm not really sure when it comes down to the rulings, but I mean, I guess if he gets released, he can get picked up kind of like Deshaun Jackson is right now. And I guess he would just make the money from the Browns and then he can just double dip with whatever team picks him up. But I don't know who's going to want to put him in the locker room. The only person, I was talking to somebody about that at work yesterday, is the only team that I can really see picking him up and actually benefiting from it and him actually wanting to go to him would probably be Tampa Bay, because he'll go there and he'll win a fucking championship. So.
Agreed. Yeah, that was the one when you were setting that up. I was like, man, Tom Brady with Odell Beckham Jr. Oh my God.
Well, that's the thing, man. Odell is a beast. He has one of the best hands in the league behind D Hop and who is it? Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is just a fucking great route runner. He's just a great all around. But when it comes to hands, you think D Hop, and then you're gonna think Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham just hasn't had a good quarterback throwing to him. Baker, he's a game manager. He can get the ball down the field, but he cannot. You saw the video released by Odell's dad. The man's open all the time, and when he is open, he's either overthrown, underthrown. He just isn't putting the ball on Odell Beckham. If he had a good quarterback, the man would be one of the best receivers in the league again, just like he used to be when he had Eli Manning, who was a 2-time championship player, throwing the ball to him. And if anybody can tame a receiver, or really anybody, is going to be Tom Brady.
I don't think he'd even have to tame him. I think he would just be like, I'm playing with Tom Brady. Sweet. I'm not going to fuck anything up. You know what I mean? I'm in a receiver room full of all these dudes. Tampa Bay would be an awesome fit for him, but I don't know. It's kind of shocking how Baker's numbers improve without OBJ playing. There's enough data. It's not just a, killer Mike White game where he plays awesome once. I'm not saying this about killer Mike White. I hope he continues playing well, but there's also a good chance that Mike White stinks it up next week. Right. And with Baker, I feel like without Odell in the lineup, his numbers are better.
Mm-hmm. definitely. I think it's it seems like to me like it's the pressure that Odell puts on him potentially to like force him the ball. Yeah, like when Odell's not in the lineup, Baker doesn't have that, cloud looming over him like, oh, I got to look for Odell Beckham to keep him happy type of thing.
Yeah, but this is what I hate about star wideouts, Chad.
Yeah.
It's like they have a diva mentality.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? But it ends up hurting the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't win anything. And
Yeah.
they're like, well, I'm getting into the hall of, I'm not saying that receivers think this, but it's like, we deal with these number one receivers all the time, and they come in and they complain about not getting touches. Fucking get rid of the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that sounds crazy, but it just causes more harm than good, I think.
Yeah. In the short term, I think Cleveland, with this big game coming up and this distraction currently, I think it's bad. But in the long term, once they get rid of them, I think it's better. They're better off. And then when they get Kareem Hunt back and Odell's gone, I think they're right back in and if depending on the healthy the Baker's shoulder injury, they could get a little bit scarier down the season, down the road. But yeah, currently right now with the Odell issue and Kareem Hunt not there and Baker's injury, they're just not as much of a concern in my opinion. But yeah, and with diva, with the only time you don't hear from a diva receiver is when they have that QB that is like, that franchise number one QB that is on that team. Like if you have Odell with these, bottom tier or average quarterbacks or any kind of diva wide receiver, you're going to hear shit because they're going to complain about not getting the ball. They're going to complain. They wish they were on a better offense, just like you've been hearing from Odell this whole time he's been in Cleveland, and even towards the end of his tenure at the Giants with an aging Eli. You didn't hear him complaining the first 2 years when Eli was playing still pretty good, but once Eli started to slide off, that's when you started getting the issues with Odell. So yeah, if he goes somewhere with like Tom Brady, or if he's with Aaron Rodgers, you probably won't hear anything from him. But if he's on any team with a mediocre quarterback, it's going to be an issue, in my opinion. So
you brought up an interesting point there. I want to go back and look at some of these like receivers and who they thought was garbage or not, and then like evaluate them as quarterbacks. Maybe that could be a tell. Like, hey, if your star wide receiver is being a diva, maybe your quarterback's not great.
Oh, that's 100%.
You have to look at the tape. I'm not saying it's like that every time, but that's an interesting thought.
You're not going to have a wide receiver, causing issues when you have Peyton Manning in the huddle. You're not going to hear a diva. You're not going to have a diva with, Randy Moss went to New England. Didn't hear a word with him,
Tom Brady would probably tell him to shut the fuck up if he wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when you have that, alpha quarterback, future Hall of Famer, Pro Bowl type guy, the diva isms in a wide receiver are going to be mute. There's not going to be any issue. And if they do, cry, that top dog QB is going to put them in their place.
Right.
But without a top dog QB, that diva is just let loose.
Interesting.
We've seen that with Odell, I think.
Brad, you got something real quick?
If you look into that, do not look into the Hollywood talking shit was it last year about not getting the ball enough, because motherfucker was wrong.
Listen.
He was the issue in the first place.
Yeah. Oh, listen. That's why early in these pods I've been very hard on. Every time he drops it, I feel like I'm extra hard on Hollywood because I'm like, well, you said dogs aren't getting the ball, so what do you? And maybe that's unfair of me. I've been very nice to him. By the way, he's been playing great.
Yeah, he has been playing good.
Yeah, he has. I'm not gonna,
I don't think. Yeah, I think that got nipped in the bud. I don't think you're ever gonna hear anything like that from him again. He's been humbled.
Better not.
He's been humbled once or twice. So even this year. Yeah, even this year. So
let's talk about the Ravens. Let's get to what we actually care about. I'm so sorry to all my listeners. We've just been like talking about our enemies for 45 minutes. Well, but you know what? I'm done with that. We're coming off our bye week. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about what some of the issues were that we should have addressed during the bye week and whether we're going to see them coming up against the Vikings. Hey, tackling. That should be the number one thing that we should have focused on this week. How can we get better at bringing guys to the ground? Agree or disagree? Go ahead, Brad.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but I don't know how much you can practice it. They've been practicing since Pop Warner. So, I mean, it's an everyday thing that you focus on. Make sure you tackle the guy to the damn ground, play through the whistle. So we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously these guys are big as shit, and I probably couldn't take them down, and that's why I'm watching TV, but I also don't get paid millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. So they hopefully they did their research and they practiced it, and it was hitting on those dummies at practice, because I'm tired of seeing it. Chase is awesome, but that Usma, he is not a top tier tight end. And we made that man look like he was I don't even know, like a Gronk, and he was not.
Hottest of takes from Brad. CJ Uzma is trash. We'll
I never said trash. I didn't say trash. I said he's not the hottest. He's
okay. We made him say trash. Okay.
2 touchdowns, 90-something yards, man. Come on.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
I
agree. Like, tackling should have been number one priority, but I can't believe it. Like Brad said, they're professionals at this point. Like, you know how to tackle. I think it's a mental thing. I don't know, like, just like getting your mental straight, and and just doing. I mean, I saw tackling drills like people are sharing on social media during practice. Some of the media guys. So they're obviously doing tackling drills, but I don't know. They just need to I think it's more of like focus and be smart type stuff, and hopefully they turn around. I mean, I'm surprised. I agree. Tackling was the biggest issue, and I hope they fixed it.
I did some digging this week, research wise, to try and form and articulate an argument about how I feel about this team so far. I found something really interesting. When it comes to our defense, we are not turning the ball. We're not generating fumbles the way that we did last year. So last year, we had a total of 12 forced fumbles through the season, right? This year, we have 2. So we're on pace. We're about at the halfway mark, right? We can say it's roughly, we're halfway through the season. Week 9 is coming up, I think. So if we stay on track, that would be 4 forced fumbles for the season, which if you look back in 2020, the only team that had 4 forced fumbles on defense was the 2020 New England Patriots. And they were the last in the league at forced fumbles. And that's something that we have historically been very, very good at. Last year, it felt like guys were flying around. The ball was getting on the ground a lot more. We were picking it. Patrick Queen picking up a fumble and returning it for a touchdown. And that shit translates into yards. It's troubling for the defense, but on the flip side, it really brings into view like how Lamar isn't getting better field position this year, and he's still playing better than he did last year. So Brad, we'll talk about it. Do you think that, like, because we're on pace for interceptions, right? Marcus Peters got hurt, and we have 5 picks on the year. We're on pace to match that from last year. Do you think that the not getting the ball on the ground and turning the ball over on defense is going to hurt us? Or is it kind of a positive thing because Lamar is still able to put up points anyway on offense?
Anytime that the defense isn't getting turnovers, it's not good, especially when, a lot of times they're going down and just scoring on us. I don't even think we're making people punt that often either. But, Lamar's going to keep doing Lamar things. I'm not really too worried about putting pressure on him. The pressure's already been on him. The man won MVP. His 2nd year in the league, 1st year starting. So I don't think the pressure really matters anymore when it comes down to it. So, I want turnovers. Everybody wants turnovers. Our defense needs to step it up 100%. But I don't see it affecting Lamar in any sense. He's going to go out and keep doing his thing. So,
what do you think, Chad?
Yeah, turnovers or would make it a lot easier on our offense, which is obviously a plus, and therefore easier on Lamar. I would like to see those turnovers, go up in average over the rest of the year after the bye week. But I think the main focus should be tackling. I think that's the biggest issue. And then pass rush.
Yeah, so let's talk about the pass rush, because I found something interesting with this too. We're on pace for 30 sacks this year. Last year, we finished the season with 39. That seems so strange to me because I watch these games and I feel like we're getting to the quarterback more. Like we're getting guys in, we're at least like pressuring quarterbacks more, but we're not getting them on the ground for some reason. Last year, maybe I just like completely overblew this, but I felt like we weren't getting to the quarterback as much. And this year I feel like we are, but the numbers say that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Like Derek Wolfe is coming. Is he going to play next week against the Vikings?
Yeah, he's off the IR list, so we'll see.
He should get at least mixed into the rotation, right? Like maybe guys coming off of it, guys have been hurt, obviously, like LJ Fort hasn't played all year. We're just now getting Derek Wolfe back. I don't know. I'm just not sure. Another theory that I had with this is like, maybe the blitzes now are too exotic. Like on third down, when you see everyone crowding the line like that, is it now like our offensive coordinators from other teams being like, hey, look, this is what Wink Martindale likes to do? I don't know. I don't really know because they disguise coverages so well. Joe Burrow was talking, Justin Herbert was talking about after the Chargers game, like they did stuff that he had never seen before. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said during the post-game conference. But I don't know. Would that help our pass rush? Or is it just we're going to be the top? I mean, we're great against the run. No one can run against the Ravens, really. There's only 3 teams that I think are better rush defense. The Saints are one of them. So I don't know. But we're not turning the ball. I wish we had more turnovers on defense, and the tackling needs to improve. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's going. I hope that kind of shakes itself out as the season goes. Let's talk about the offense. We're talking about the running game because I was saying actually that the run game was in trouble. In terms of total yards, the Ravens rush attack is one of 7 that has accumulated over 1,000 yards so far this season. Those teams are the Cardinals, us. So we would be 6th on this list. The Eagles, the Cowboys, the Bears, the Titans, and the Browns. And out of those 7 teams that have accumulated 1,000 yards so far, 2 of them have had bye weeks. So all the numbers are kind of inflated because these teams have played an extra game. And that would be the Ravens and the Cowboys. So we have a top 10 rushing attack, but it just doesn't feel like it because it's not with our guys.
Yeah, it's because it's not with our running backs. It's right. Lamar. The only reason we're up there is because Lamar's rushing ability and his yards. The issue is we need running backs that, scare opposing defenses. But
they're productive though. That's the weird thing. I mean, we have a running back room by committee, I guess. Mm-hmm. And in recent weeks, I guess it's just they've had these games like against LA that inflate the stats a little bit. But when I watch them running the ball, I always get bummed out. I'm like, this isn't J.K. Dobbins and it's not Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think? Is it just I just feel really deflated by the run game this year. It's just not. We've also had a top 2 run game historically in the past 2 seasons. So maybe I don't know, maybe I'm jaded or something. Yeah. I have no idea. What do you think?
No, I mean, it's the only reason we're up there is because of Lamar. Our rush it's not good at all. I mean, obviously Latavius Murray was out the last game with the ankle injury. I don't even think he's coming back yet. So we're just working with what we got. We'll see if they bring, we always say Tyson Williams' name every single week because he is the leading yards after, yards per rush, which is, I think, still at 5, even after the last game. But we got a bunch of old heads in there. One thing that is going to be better for us is if Nick Boyle is able to play. That's going to change everything for us in the sense that we basically, I mean, they rate him as the best, if not one of the best blocking tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
So if he can come in and be basically a sixth lineman for us, that's just all the better to stop those pass rushers and chip people like Watt coming off the side. Something that we were definitely missing when we were playing like Vegas and stuff like that, where you had those Crosbys and big ass dudes coming off the edge that we were just missing either with the running back or we just weren't chipping them the way we needed to chip them. Also, one thing that we saw this past week when Cooper was playing for Dallas. I mean, I get that we're short on linemen, but did you see that they were putting 2 offensive linemen back there to block to give Cooper extra time in the pocket and stuff like that? Like, that's awesome. I've never seen that before in a game. And I wish we could utilize maybe not offensive linemen, but like a Boyle, one of our tight ends, and like a Ricard back there the same way to give Lamar some extra protection or getting the ball out or just giving some more room for one of our running backs to get down the field. So
yeah, I agree.
Hopefully we can step up.
Yeah, Nick Boyle is practicing, and they moved. I forget his last name. I think number 85, long hair tight end. I forget his last name. No, that's 84. I think it's like starts with a T. But anyway, they moved him to the practice squad because they brought Boyle back. So that's a good sign that he's going to be playing this week. Yeah, with Nick Boyle back, he is the best blocking tight end. I think we're going to see our numbers go up a little bit. But the other thing with the rushing attack, like we're 5-2. We're top of the division. Our rushing attack has not been the same the last couple of years, but that's also because Lamar has been passing it way better. And our offense is, kind of evolving into more of a balanced offense versus strictly being mostly rushing. So that's a good thing. We're passing the ball a lot more. We have better receiving options. So, yeah,
let's get into that.
Yeah,
that was the next place that I was going to go. And Chad, we'll start with you. So the Ravens passing game is tied right now for 13th in total yards.
Mm-hmm.
The team that we're tied with is the Denver Broncos, but only because they have an extra game. So don't freak out. I'm not comparing Lamar to Teddy Two Gloves or anything like that. Like a better comparison would be the Vikings. So they have roughly the same amount of games. And I think they're at they're close to 1,900 yards, but they're just under it. There are 4 teams right now in the NFL that have an average, their yards per game on average passing is over 300 yards. 3 of them are in the NFC. The Bucks, the Rams, and the Cowboys. No surprises there, right? They're all averaging over 300 yards a game.
All gunslingers.
Yeah, right. In the AFC, there's only one, and it's the Las Vegas Raiders, which I think that number is going to drop pretty significantly as the weeks go on. Other than that, when you look at the AFC, just the AFC passing offenses, right?
Yeah.
You've got the Chiefs. They have a terrible defense. They're sitting at 4-4 right now. The Bills are the next down, and they're just victims of slow starts, I think. When you watch the Bills, they don't maintain a game all the way through. They usually get a slow start, and then they are explosive towards the end of the game, if you've been watching them. And then you have the Chargers, also a terrible defense. And then us, we're sitting at 268.1 yards per game.
Yeah.
That's good enough to get you to an AFC championship game. And our offense, like you were talking about, Chad, Sammy Watkins and Rashad Bateman are in the lineup now. Does that kind of encourage you, at least on the AFC side? Because I'm worried that maybe we won't be able to keep pace with the Bucks or the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, but we could easily compete in an AFC championship game with Lamar as quarterback if the trends continue the way they're going now. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's promising. I I didn't know we were like top 4 in passing in our conference. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, and like that's that's what we and I mean that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see our pass offense get better, and that's gonna be. I mean, and that doesn't mean like that's just a result is you're gonna see the running numbers go down, but that's not a bad thing, It's just like you're passing more and you're completing more passes and you're getting more passing yards, so you're not having to run as much. So I think it's an overall good sign. And I mean I do see an issue with our running back core, but I mean we lost 4 of our running backs before the season started, 3 of our running backs. So it's like, what do you expect? Like we're doing pretty good for the situation we're in. We got 3 guys and 3 guys off the, that we signed over the last 5 weeks. And then we had 1 guy that ran in an undrafted rookie who had training camp with us. So it is what it is. I was hoping we might trade in the trade deadline for somebody like Marlon Mack or something, but it didn't happen. So we're stuck with who we got, and we're 5-2, and I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so too.
And hopefully Tyson, gets in better with the coaches and they play him more, because I feel like he's definitely the younger legs, And
Yeah.
if it's his pass protection, which I'm assuming is the issue, I mean, I imagine he's only going to get better as the year goes on, and maybe he'll get more playing time. So,
right.
But
yeah, I agree. I'm glad we didn't get rid of him at the trade deadline. I thought he was a goner. I thought that he was going to get picked up by another team.
Okay, gotcha.
And also, not to mention, like going back to the passing game, like Mark Andrews and Hollywood Brown are not dropping the ball as much.
Yep,
they're not. They like the.
Okay.
It seems to me they're getting clean, and part of it is Lamar. Like we were talking in the last pod, those balls are coming out in a spiral, dude. He is slinging the rock, man. Lamar. Like they've made, and they don't turn the ball over as much as they did last year. They're set to not. That's interceptions and fumbles were actually down compared to what we were last year. So like the offense, I think it could get better. The O-line's banged up. Obviously, we've got guys moving around all over the place. But considering that's happening, 5-2 is a pretty good place to be after the bye.
No,
right?
Definitely.
I think it's kind of crazy that we're even in the position we're in. And then like special teams, A+, guys. Devin Duvernay is averaging 16.9 yards per punt return. The next closest team is 13. They're tied. It's actually between the Chiefs and the Jets, and they have 13.8 yards per return. Devin Duvernay is performing at like another level on special. Like good for if his roster spot is ever in question. Like if they look at the wide receiver room and they say, hey, we need to cut some guys, they can't cut Devin Duvernay. Like he's not going anywhere. I think he's found his spot on special teams, and that's going to help him in the offense because they're going to use him in offensive sets more because he has a locked in spot on special teams. I think he's been doing a great job. And then Justin Tucker and Sam Cook are like beyond reproach. So I give special teams an A+ this year. Let's talk about next week's matchup against the Vikings real quick. And then we'll get out of here. What do you say on that? The Vikings, I've said they've stunk for a long time. I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. I saw him in Washington and I saw how that all unfolded. And then I saw him a couple years in Minnesota. I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. I don't know. I just can't get on board with this guy. And their offense is underperforming this year. They've got guys like Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and all these dudes. And, they're sitting at 3-4 right now. I think we're coming off a bye week, so we're going to be fresh. We'll go through what ESPN has to say about this matchup real quick, because they usually give they have the lines and stuff for betting, and it's usually pretty accurate with how the picks go. So let's just go to that one real quick. Sorry about that. What do you guys think of this game in general? Like, do you think we're at home, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not impressed with the Vikings at all. What do you guys think? Brad, we'll start with you.
It's gonna be a shootout. I know you're not impressed with them, but they do have 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. young Jefferson and Thielen is already and has been a big name in the league. They both have 40 catches, multiple touchdowns. And then they also have that guy Osborne, who he has like 20 something catches for like 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. And Conklin isn't that bad of a tight end. I think he's been there like 2 years. He looks pretty good, but I'm more worried about what Dalvin Cook can possibly do to us. I mean, I know he's a good receiving back, and we did well against Eckler, but I mean, that was also a windy game. So it's kind of Herbert wasn't really doing too well with getting the ball down the field. I mean, we really weren't either. We were mainly rushing that game, so I'm kind of nervous to see what Dalvin Cook's going to be able to do against us if he stays healthy. And even if he doesn't stay healthy, you got that guy Madison, who's just as good when he steps into play. But with us, I mean, I don't think their defense is that good. So I think when it comes offensively, I think we'll be fine. I think that I'm worried about is strictly what we're going to do when it comes to especially in a man situation, because I mean, we had Jamar Chase whoop up on our best cornerback in a man situation 2 weeks ago. So you got two receivers at Chase's caliber playing against us this week. It makes me a little nervous.
All right, so here are the lines from ESPN. So they have Baltimore. The matchup predictor has Baltimore winning this game 63.6%. Believe that Baltimore will win. The spread right now is Baltimore -6, and the over/under is at 50. Pretty high over/under.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think for like a score? Do you have anything? You said it was going to be a shootout.
30-27 Ravens.
30-27 Ravens. And that will hit the over then. Okay, Chad, what do you think?
I think I'm going to agree with Brad that it's going to be a high scoring game just because our defense hasn't proven to me that we're not suspect. We had one good game against a high powered offense with the Chargers, but that was also a pretty windy game. So that could have been a big factor because then we shit the bed against Cincinnati the next week. So yeah. I don't believe our defense is going to do too great against Minnesota. They have, like you said, Kirk Cousins. Yeah, Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He's a little bit above average, but he can get the job done. So
if you don't want to say it, I'll say it. I think he stinks.
He's a good quarterback statistically. You know, he gets points on the board. He has and he gets the ball to his receivers, and they have two really good receivers, and they have one of the greatest running backs. So they have a great offense. But when it comes to our offense, which is better, obviously, in my opinion, and we have a way better quarterback, their defense is not good. And they just lost, I believe, their D end to, I think it was a pectoral injury, but he's out for the season. So one of their better defensive guys is going to be out. And us coming off a bye week, like I mentioned earlier, I believe we're going to win this one. I would say 27-24.
27-24. Ravens?
Ravens. Yep.
You got the over as well. Okay.
But I am a little worried about our tackling against Dalvin Cook and, Adam Thielen, and I hope our tackling really steps up.
Do you want to know what John Harbaugh's record is after a bye?
I do, because I know it's really good.
10-2.
10-2. Yep.
And the wins have come at an average of 13.6 points per game, meaning coming off a bye week, John Harbaugh's teams win by 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it. I'm out. Like I said, I'm out on Kirk Cousins. I'm out. I love the offense. I don't love Kirk Cousins. And I don't know how to reconcile that. And maybe I'm a hater. Maybe there's something that I've overlooked, but he just doesn't blow me away as a quarterback the way other quarterbacks maybe blow me away. So I've got 34-21 Ravens. We're at home. They're 1-2 on the road. We beat them in every single metric in terms of yards per game, except on the defensive side. We give up more yards through the air, which, I mean, we're like 25th in the league. We're probably going to be losing in that stat to a lot of different teams. But I just don't, coming off of a bye week, John Harbaugh is going to have those guys ready to go. I'm not worried about it. Ravens go 6-2.
Yeah, and Minnesota just lost. Yeah, the Cowboys are good, but they just lost to a backup quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think we win.
I'm not buying it. The different thing about this game this week, I'm going to be with you guys watching it. I'm stoked.
Yes.
I cannot wait. We are going to be watching it at a location with a bunch of friends of ours. It's going to be exciting. Maybe we'll have reactions during the game.
I think we'll set up a couple cameras and record some reactions. See if we get some, great content, some funny shit. Maybe.
I'm a lunatic when I watch Ravens games. So
I wish we could get the footage from our where we watched it in Vegas.
I know. Man, I was so worried about getting there on time. I was like, I forgot my like recording device because I have like a
I don't think we would have been able to in Vegas do it anyway. I'm just saying they have cameras. They have cameras everywhere, and I would love to see Ben jump up and down, take his shirt off, and run around the betting room with his shirt swirling around like he's a North Carolina helicopter.
In my defense, I had driven quite a ways, and I got to the strip, and I'm like, shit, I'm in the wrong location. I got to go all the way across town. So I went across town, and I got there right as kickoff was happening.
Dude, it was perfect timing.
So I was already in a good mood. And then I took my shirt off in the casino. I apologize.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Was that Monterey Bay we were at?
Yeah.
Mandalay Bay?
Mandalay Bay, yep.
Sorry, Mandalay Bay. You didn't need to see that. No one needed to see that, frankly.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was a good time. And it's going to be a good time when we watch the Vikings game on Sunday. I promise not to show up at 11 o'clock in the morning, because I'm used to West Coast times.
Yeah.
And if I showed up at 10 and you were just like in your pajamas being like, what the hell are you doing here? I'd be pretty embarrassed. So we're going to be watching along with that. And then we're going to have a podcast. I was thinking maybe we could do it live, like all three of us in one spot, but we'll see how that goes. We got to work out the kinks with that. Okay. That's it for the bye week podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of non-Ravens talk, but we still got through it. Chad, Brad, anything else you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Go Ravens.
Go Ravens. Yep. 5-2.
And hey, quick shout out. Thank you so much for our subscribers and the people who follow us along every week. We really appreciate your support, and we really appreciate you supporting what it is. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I don't know if you guys have as well, but a lot of people are really engaged in our particular community, and we hope it grows.
Yes.
And we invite you to grow with us as we go through the Ravens season and beyond. So thank you so much for your support. Chad, Brad, I'm going to be seeing you guys this Sunday.
Yeah, man, safe travels for sure.
For sure. Have a safe
Absolutely.
Trip.
Yeah,
Looking forward to
definitely.
seeing you.
Yep. All right, boys. Have a good rest of your week, and caw. We'll see you next week.
Oh, peace.